Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. We'll wait just a second here and make sure that give everyone a chance to get pulled in by Zoom. Sometimes it takes a minute. Thank you for being here. So excited. Can everybody hear me okay? Can someone maybe just pop into the Q&A and do a quick sound check for me? Make sure that you can hear me. I want to make sure I got the right microphone on. Let's see here. Awesome, awesome. Okay, well, welcome. Zoom's still pulling a few people in. While you're waiting, if you are not driving or anything, can you pop into the Q&A and tell me where you're from and what you teach? Love to hear who's with us tonight. Sound check is good. All right. All right, guys. I don't want to waste your time. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome. I am so excited you're here for our live workshop on how to stop yelling at your students. My name is Brenna Nelson. I began my career as a teacher way back in 2007 and am now a certified life coach for teachers. What I do is I help teachers manage the inevitable stress and overwhelm in the classroom that we face every day. So thank you for being here. Just by showing up, or watching the recording, you are proving that you are an incredible teacher who cares about your students, who wants to make an impact. And today, I hope to share with you a few things that will make your life as a teacher feel a little bit better. So that's just a little bit about me. I'm coming at you live from Kalamazoo, Michigan, of all places. Um, so let's jump into what we've got on the schedule for today. So this first, we are going to explore why we yell sometimes, why we yell at our students, even when we don't want to, even when we know it's not the best strategy in our classrooms. Second, we will discuss the steps necessary to stop yelling. If you're like me, you've probably already tried using willpower to stop by saying something like, I'm not going to shout at my students anymore. But shortly after making that declaration, maybe you find yourself yelling again. Now, I'm with you. I've done this. I'm going to show you some real tools that will work when willpower alone cannot. Then I want to make sure you leave today with some really useful tools and strategies to help you show up calmer right away. So I'm going to share with you a couple of tools that you can use even in the middle of a chaotic school day, where you can start calming, feeling some calm in those moments where we typically would default to yelling. And lastly, I'm going to show you how to get some more help beyond this workshop, how to really up-level yourself, your teaching, and your life. Really, how to create calm and peace and joy, not just momentarily, but for the long term. Also, I have some awesome bonuses available for you today as a special thank you for showing up. And I want this to be fun, so I've also got some great prizes that I'll be giving away as well for those of you that participate. I want this to feel really fun and interactive as possible, so we'll be using that Q&A button for this. You should see it just below the video on your screen on Zoom. So jump in there and participate with me. Every question you answer is an entry, and we'll do a drawing together at the end. So if you're just hopping on a few minutes late, no problem. We started off by letting me know where you're from and what you teach. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and drop that in now. Okay, let's see. Let's do a few shout outs here. Okay, we've got Cindy from Atlanta. 17 years as a first or second grade teacher. That's amazing. Welcome, Cindy. We have Jasmine from Orlando. Thank you. Welcome. And Aaron from Oregon. Glad to have you. Awesome. Oh, teaches high school science. Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Aaron. Okay, you guys, this is fantastic. Let's let's get started. Okay. Now, as we discuss this topic of yelling at our students, please know that this is a shame-free zone. The purpose of this presentation is not to make you feel terrible. Honestly, that only makes it more likely that you will yell or lose your temper again in the future. That is not the purpose here, okay? Our purpose today is to increase your understanding, your awareness of what's going on inside your body and your brain so that you can make some adjustments going forward if you want to. It's about awareness, not self-shaming. Shame will never help you shift to different behaviors permanently because shame tells you to hide, to bury that behavior deep down in the dark recesses of your brain. But we can't solve the actual problem unless we bring it out to the light and take a look at it and understand what is actually going on for us. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, as they say. So we're going to drop the shame and work instead on offering ourselves some grace and compassion. I'm guessing that most of us here are in a similar boat. We've yelled at our students, and we'd really like to stop. I know because I'm a reforming yeller myself. I say reforming instead of reformed because I still slip up sometimes, especially when I'm not regularly using the tools and the strategies that I know will help. Now, the difference is that now I know how to offer myself grace and get curious about what's really going on and use those tools to get back on track. And that's exactly what I'm going to teach you how to do today. And here's the truth. Being kind to yourself when you mess up will help you stop yelling or any behavior you don't want much faster than beating yourself up ever will. I know that sounds backwards. It can feel like you're giving yourself a free pass, but it's really not. You cannot create lasting positive change from a negative emotion. And shame doesn't feel very good. It's a pretty negative emotion. And it might motivate you to make some temporary changes in the short term, but it always backfires in the end. That's why self-compassion is key here. I can teach you the brain science, I can teach you practical tools, but without compassion, they won't stick. So please know this, you are not a bad teacher because you've yelled. You're human, so be patient with yourself. Real change takes some time, and it starts with kindness. Okay, so first, I want to hear what you think. Why do you think we as teachers, who generally love and care about our students, why do we yell at them? So if you're not driving, again, take a moment and drop into that Q&A and tell me, why do you think we yell? Remember, each comment in that Q&A is an entry for our drawing. And one of the prizes is a $100 Amazon gift card just in time for the holidays. Tell me, why do you think we are yelling? Okay, let's read a few of them here as they're coming in. Oh, lots of answers. Here we go. Okay, from Natalie. Honestly, I I need my glasses. Sorry. I catch myself raising my voice whenever the class just won't settle down or listen. It's my go-to reaction when nothing else is working. Um, I think a lot of us can relate to that. Okay, Ashka or Asha, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. She says, for me, yelling usually happens when I'm completely maxed out. The stress builds, and by the end of the day, it feels like I've hit a wall and my patience is gone. Linda says frustration. Uh, and Cynthia says it's hard not to yell sometimes. We've got lots of kids with bigger behavioral challenges. There's only so much a teacher can handle, so I yell. Okay, all great points, guys. I think teachers are really feeling it these days. I know you guys know this. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but let's take a look at what the current reality is for teachers. Teaching is relentless, right? Few jobs demand so much of your attention, energy, and emotions all at once. The noise is always a big one for me. The noise, the constant questions, managing 20 or 30 or more personalities in one room, it's a lot. And it doesn't stop for many of us when that final bell rings. There's always more waiting for us, whether we take it home or not, right? The grading, the planning, updating the bulletin board, right? The list never really ends. The bottom line is teachers are stressed out. According to the National Teacher and Principal Survey, 77% of teachers feel stressed and 68% report feels overwhelmed. Honestly, that feels low to me. And so there's a lot going on for us, right? And teaching itself has changed. The past several years have really ramped up a lot of those external pressures. The students are different now, and so is the world. Our students are facing more distractions, shorter attention spans, and higher stress, which often shows up as more behavioral challenges in the classroom. And meanwhile, teachers are asked to do more with less. They have larger class sizes in a lot of cases, fewer resources, and higher expectations and pressures. That same survey found that 66% of teachers are not satisfied with their jobs, and 8% leave the profession every year. That is over 300,000 teachers leaving every year. And like I said, the stress doesn't end for us at school, right? There's world uncertainty, there's family concerns, there's financial pressures. It all adds up. So it's no wonder that teachers are feeling stretched really thin. So, yes, we have good reasons to feel on edge. The challenges we are facing are real, and I don't want to diminish any of that. But here's the thing, even knowing all that, even knowing all the things that are going on for us, most teachers who yell, like me and maybe like you, don't want to be that teacher, right? It doesn't feel good, even when our situation feels kind of impossible. And while all these external factors are real, like I said, they're not actually the cause of why we yell when we don't want to. There's something deeper going on, and that's what I want to tell you about in a minute. Uh, for most of us, this all kind of starts before the bell even rings, right? Like I said, we have things going on at home. We have family stress, personal challenges, that mental load that we carry everywhere. Everyone is dealing with something, even if no one else can see it. Then you get to school. Maybe you're standing at your desk, you've got your coffee already lukewarm, you're glancing over the lesson plans you prepped last night. You're tired, but you tell yourself today's going to be different. Today I will stay calm. I won't let those guys get to me today. And then the door bursts open and in they come, right? The noise floods in. There's backpacks slamming around, kids calling out to each other. Maybe someone drops their Chromebook. Another student waves a late assignment in your face while someone is asking to go to the bathroom. And before you've even had a chance to say good morning, you're already juggling a dozen things. And maybe you ask for their attention once, twice, maybe a third time, even louder, and half the class still isn't listening. Somebody's whispering in the back. You hear laughter and you wonder if it's about you. You feel that heat begin to rise in your chest. The pressure is building behind your eyes. You push through and start teaching, pretending it doesn't bother you until someone blurts out, "Oh, this is boring," or "Do we have to do this?" And maybe another one's tossing paper ball. I don't know. But you feel your jaw tighten and you try to get them to get on board with you. Guys, come on. But they don't stop. And then maybe one small thing just tips you over the edge. Maybe it's an eye roll or a sigh or that pencil tapping that just won't stop. And suddenly you snap. You yell, your voice comes out louder than you meant, and the room maybe freezes. Some kids look shocked, others look scared, especially if you have some of those younger grades. And right away, you start to feel that sting of regret. You didn't want to yell. You didn't plan to. You even said this morning that you weren't going to. And you know yelling isn't good classroom management. You've read the books, you've watched the PD videos, you know that. But in that moment, it's like every stressor, every expectation, every ounce of emotional labor that you've been carrying for weeks or even years kind of seems to collide all at once. And the truth is, it's not about the pencil tapping or the kids. It's not about how much you've been holding or the pressure to perform, the endless to-do list. It's about the emotional weight of caring for so many students while trying to keep yourself together. I don't know. Does that sound any at all familiar for you guys? Even if your details are a little bit different, I'm guessing you all know that feeling when kind of everything kind of converges at once and you react by yelling before you even realize it. It feels automatic, like you can't even help it. And there's a reason that it feels that way because there's something happening in your brain and your body that drives that reaction. Now, before we dive into the science of what's really happening, let's clear up a couple of false reasons why we yell. It's not because you're weak. And it's not because you're lazy. In fact, most of the time, it's not your fault. There are parts of your biology that are hardwired for this kind of response. Your brain and body are literally built to react this way under stress. And here's something else that's important to know. The tools I'm going to share with you today, most of us were never taught them. For most of us, they were not part of our teacher training or university programs. So if you sometimes find yourself acting out of alignment with the teacher you want to be, it's not your fault. In many ways, we were kind of set up to struggle, trying to manage all these impossible demands without ever being given the tools to manage our own minds and emotions first, okay? Now, before we dive into why we yell, I have a confession. Like I mentioned earlier, I am a reforming yeller. When I first started teaching, I didn't have the tools to manage my own emotions. And honestly, I was really overwhelmed as a first year teacher. This photo that you'll see, this is me from my first year in the classroom, my first staff photo. You can probably see it in my face. I had no idea what I was doing or how to handle the stress of the daily challenges of teaching. And the first time I yelled was that first year. I truly loved my students. I think we had a pretty good relationship for the most part. But the relentlessness of teaching every day started to wear me down. And by mid-year, I was buried in grading and deadlines, and I felt like I was running on empty. And one afternoon, my students were working on a group project, and the noise level was a little higher than I liked. And I asked for their attention once and got nothing. Twice, still nothing. And then I snapped. I raised my voice. And here's the thing, it worked. The room fell silent. Every student froze, and their faces said, "Whoa, she's serious. We better listen." And in that moment, my brain took note. That worked. I didn't realize it then, but my brain had filed yelling away as a strategy. And then the next time I started to feel overwhelmed or ignored, yelling came a little bit easier. Then again, easier still, until it started to become my default response when I needed them to react or to respond quickly. But it did come with a cost. So, what are the costs of yelling? For students, yelling creates fear instead of respect. They may comply in the moment, but it's out of intimidation, not trust. Yelling also damages our relationships. When students worry about you snapping all the time, they feel disconnected, they feel resentful, and unsafe. Yelling can even hurt the students' learning. Stress hormones tend to spike when kids are yelled at, making it harder for them to focus and retain information. And finally, yelling models poor emotional regulation. Our students potentially learn far more from how we behave than from what we teach them. So when we resort to yelling, we show them that frustration is solved with volume, and that can become their model too. There's also a cost to us as teachers. Yelling creates shame and self doubt. You feel like you failed at being the kind of teacher you want to be, and that doesn't feel good. That shame kind of feeds into a vicious cycle. You promise not to yell again, but then the stress builds, you feel bad about yourself, and before you know it, you're yelling again. It's also draining, right? Yelling feels really powerful and intense in the moment, but afterwards, it leaves you feeling exhausted afterwards. And over time, it tends to undermine your own authority. Students start tuning it out or pushing back, so it stops working altogether. And finally, there's a cost to our classroom culture. Yelling creates tension, right? Students may be walking on eggshells, waiting for the next time you're going to blow up. And it also increases misbehavior over time, potentially. What starts as control can often turn into defiance. Yelling erodes trust. The classroom shifts from a safe place to a power struggle. And it can also block long-term growth. Both teachers and students miss out on chances to practice calm, respectful problem solving. And I can't tell you how many times I swore I'd stop yelling, only to lose it again in the next tough moment. I almost felt completely out of my control. So what is going on here? Why do we keep showing up in ways that we don't want to? Like I mentioned earlier, our biology is driving much of this. So let's take a look at what is happening in our brains when we yell. Okay. First, in those stressful, overwhelming moments, your survival brain or your lower brain is taking over. When we're stressed, we have a part of our brain that kicks into high gear. It has three jobs, that three main primary motivations: to avoid pain, to seek comfort, and to conserve energy. Our lower survival brain is not thinking about what's best for you or your students tomorrow. It's thinking about how to get you through the next 30 seconds with the least amount of effort and the least amount of discomfort. That's why yelling can feel like the natural automatic choice. It's quick, it gets their attention, and it forces compliance a lot of the time. It takes far less energy than calmly redirecting or walking over or following through with a consequence. Your survival brain doesn't care that yelling damages trust or that you promised yourself you wouldn't do that today. It only cares about one thing: regaining control right now. Your lower brain will choose short-term relief over long-term regret every time. Okay. So that's what happens. That's the first reason is our survival brain takes over. Our second reason we yell, even when we don't want to, is because our nervous system is misfiring. If you think about the stressors of modern day teaching, we talked about it a minute ago. They are constant, and often chronic. Okay, the noise, the interruptions, the grading pile, the parent emails, the looming testing deadlines, one by one, your nervous system registers each of those stressors or those circumstances as threats, like actual threats to your well being. Your body, your nervous system cannot tell the difference between a disruptive student and a tiger in the wild when it is hyperactivated. So, your nervous system is a really sensitive defense mechanism. Its job is to be constantly scanning for threats, physical threats, emotional threats, and social threats, and prepare your body to respond. But the nervous system is also highly inaccurate, often treating these everyday classroom events as life or death situations. When that happens, your body shifts into the fight or flight mode. Your heart races, your muscles tense, your breath shortens, and your brain floods with stress hormones. In uh, excuse me, and in that state, yelling feels natural. For a lot of us, it's that fight in the fight or flight response. Your body is doing what it thinks will keep you safe. When your nervous system is dysregulated, yelling is often not a conscious choice. It's your body in survival mode, reacting to those perceived threats. So it's not yelling is not just a habit, it's your body's survival response. The third reason that we sometimes yell as teachers when we don't want to is because we have memorized thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Okay, the third, our brain kind of memorizes what we think and feel and do. It's a learning machine. So every repeated thought, feeling, or behavior creates a natural pathway in our brain, making it easier to repeat that same pattern. In other words, your brain literally wires itself around what worked in the past. So think about the first time you drove to your school. You probably maybe used Google Maps and had to think through every turn and make sure you're going the right way. But after a few times, your brain memorized that route. You could probably drive there without thinking. I would say with your eyes closed, but that doesn't make sense. That's how your brain learns patterns. Your neural pathway in your brain of how to drive to school is really strong. You don't even have to think about it. The same thing can happen with yelling. If yelling has ever gotten your students to quiet down, to line up or complete a task, your brain files it away as an effective strategy. Even if you know yelling isn't ideal, your brain thinks it's worked, let's do it again. And each time that pathway gets stronger and stronger and easier to think and repeat in the future. That's why even if you start the day determined to stay calm, by the end of a stressful day, you might find yourself yelling on autopilot. It's not a moral failure, it's your brain following the path of least resistance. Again, this is what our brains are designed to do. And lastly, as we've seen through all these examples, the the fourth reason why we yell when we don't want to is because it works. This is the tricky truth. It does work at least for a little while. That's why it's so tempting, even when you know it's not the long-term solution. Your brain and body see immediate results, the noise stops, students comply, and you feel a temporary sense of control, even if it's a false sense of control. Your survival brain notices that payoff and says, see, it worked. We should do it again whenever needed. And your nervous system feels relief. Your fight or flight response kicks in, and the threat seems handled, and your body gets a tiny hit of satisfaction. And there it is. That's the trap. The immediate result reinforces that habit. This brain the brain and the nervous system register this as effective. We can default to this when we're stressed. Okay, so it's not about laziness, it's not about lack of care or weak classroom skills. It's a lot of it is our biology, your survival brain, your nervous system, and memorized habits are all pushing you towards yelling because it's fast, effective, and energy efficient in the moment. This is your brain doing what it was designed to do. But just because our brain is wired this way doesn't mean we can't change it. The good news Yes, there's good news. The good news is that this is entirely reversible. You can retrain your brain, you can regulate your nervous system, and create new automatic responses so that yelling stops being your default and calm becomes your default instead. Okay, alongside that lower survival brain, we have a higher order thinking brain that can override those instinctual responses. We can literally use this part of our brain to change the rest of our brain. Now, it does take effort. It takes some intentionality, some persistence and time, but it is possible. And it is the way to override the automatic responses our survival brain and nervous system pushes toward. So for a long time, scientists believed we were born with all the brain cells that we'd ever have. But newer neuroscience shows that neuroplasticity allows us to create new neural connections all the time, new neural pathways that we can use to change those default responses. Now, most of our brain's default responses are going to be negative. Now, they think they're protecting us by highlighting what's wrong with ourselves, others, and the world. But in today's world, those defaults usually cause more unnecessary emotional pain than help. Now, we can and shouldn't eliminate all emotional pain, right? Some of it is healthy, right? Losing someone we love or facing a tragedy is naturally painful. But there's a difference between emotional pain and suffering. Emotional pain is a part of being human. We can't escape that. Suffering, the prolonged, unnecessary distress that we create for ourselves, that part is optional. So by rewiring our brains, we can reduce that suffering, increase our emotional capacity, and build resilience. So here's how. Now, the first step is to override the survival lower brain with the higher brain, the prefrontal cortex. Sorry. This is the part of your brain responsible for logic, reasoning, and thoughtful decision making. By engaging your prefrontal cortex, you can create new neural pathways, essentially rewiring your brain so that calm, deliberate response becomes your new default instead of yelling. Next, we can calm our nervous system by intentionally activating the parasympathetic nervous system. There's no test. Don't worry. You don't have to remember any of that. But simply put, this is the part of your nervous system that restores a state of calm after it goes into fight or flight. We can activate that with our prefrontal cortex. We can also engage it through simple practices, engage in the simple practices that widen our zone of safety, that helps us stay in a state of rest more often, rather than constantly cycling through that fight, flight, or freeze response. The next thing we can do is rewire those neural pathways to create a new default response. We can change our memorized thoughts, feelings, and behaviors and create a new normal for ourselves. Okay, now anyone who's tried to break a bad habit knows it doesn't just happen overnight. To make lasting change, so we don't fall back into those old patterns, we have to start at the brain level. We have to start with our thoughts. Why is that? Because our thoughts create our feelings, our emotions, and our feelings drive our actions. So willpower alone isn't enough. If we don't retrain the neural pathways, we're just kind of white knuckling it. And we can only do that for so long before we will revert back. So real change has to start at the thought level. Now, finally, with our prefrontal cortex engaged, our nervous system in a state of rest, and new default responses in place, we can respond intentionally as the teacher we want to be. Now, in that state, we can use the tools and the strategies we already know to how to manage our class. We can hold students accountable, and we can lead with calm and confidence. Now, do you remember that photo of me from a minute ago? Now, that girl, she wasn't completely incompetent, right? I had tried everything. I tried books, I talked to my mentors, I was seeking advice from all my teacher friends, I tried incentive programs with my students, I tried reward systems, you name it. But none of it worked long term. Not because the strategies themselves were necessarily bad, but because I wasn't addressing the root cause of my yelling, my survival brain running on default, my nervous system stuck in hyperactive activation. All the best classroom management systems rely on your prefrontal cortex, that higher brain, to work. And you can't implement them consistently if your default response is driven by your lower brain and you find yourself yelling and reacting, right? We cannot access the higher part of our brain when we have unprocessed emotions or when our nervous system is in high alert. Okay, we have to address those factors first. So no matter what I tried, I kept returning to yelling, despite knowing that logically it wasn't effective and it wasn't the teacher or the human that I wanted to be. And honestly, I was on the verge of giving up, maybe thinking that teaching wasn't for me and I just should go find something else to do until something that happened that changed everything for me. Okay. Now, one day I was venting to a friend about life, probably being pretty negative, and she patiently listened to me before asking, "Hey, have you ever heard of this podcast?" And she named this podcast. And it was one that was hosted by a life coach. And she said that. And I actually laughed and said, "A life coach? Like, who needs a coach for their life?" And she gave me this look. I'll never forget it. It's ingrained in my brain. She gave me this look that said, "Brenna, you do." So I read that and I was humbled and I decided to listen to the podcast. So I did, and I am forever grateful that I did because that podcast, that recommendation from my friend completely changed my life. I had no idea that there was another way to think, another way to use my brain to change the results I was getting in my classroom and in my life. Now, the podcast was hosted by Jody Moore, and her tools helped me in every area, my parenting, teaching, relationships, even how I handled stress and goals. So I got to that podcast. I binged every episode, and then eventually I joined her coaching program, where I learned even more powerful tools to manage my mind, my emotions, and my life. Then 2020 hit, right? Schools were shut down. Teachers everywhere were struggling. You guys probably remember this if you were teaching back then. We were all trying to hold it together through these impossible circumstances. And I kept thinking, if only teachers had access to these tools, it wouldn't erase the challenges, right? But it would make them so much more manageable. And I kept thinking that over and over again. And I kept thinking teachers need a life coach. And then one day this thought popped in my head, why not me? And I decided to do it. It kind of caught me off guard because I didn't see that coming. But I decided to do it and I went all in. And by the end of 2022, I was a certified life coach. And now I get to help teachers transform their classrooms and their lives by learning how to manage their minds, their nervous systems, and their emotions. And over time, I've discovered as I've coached teachers that there are three key tools that teachers need in order to change their brain in this way to help them have calm and peace in their classroom. So is it okay if I share those with you really quickly? Um, Okay, so like I said before, it's so much more than willpower or toughing it out or trying to think positively. Those things may give you some temporary relief, but lasting change requires addressing the root cause, which is our brain. So to do this, there are three key skills that we need to master. The first key skill is understanding the problem and increasing your awareness. So that's a little bit about what we've been talking about today. What's really going on in your brain that makes teaching an already tough job even harder. Now, like I told you, our brains are wired in ways that often work against us in today's modern world. Also, increasing your awareness. Also, we need to increase our awareness of our thoughts and our thoughts and patterns, the why behind the behavior. Okay, this allows you to stop beating yourself up and make small, simple shifts that will create big changes. The second key skill is regulating our bodies. Now, we cannot fully rewire our brains until we've processed our emotions and established safety for our nervous system. This is kind of a prerequisite for real, lasting change. It's not just a cognitive problem, it's a physiological problem as well. When our bodies feel safe, our nervous system won't push us into that fight or flight mode over every parent email or every classroom disruption. Also, learning how to process emotions fully instead of resisting them makes a huge difference. Now, this is something that most of us were not taught how to do. Most of us were kind of trained to resist emotion. It's kind of like holding a beach ball underwater. Have you guys ever tried to do this when you're standing in a pool or something? It takes so much effort to hold that beach ball underwater. And eventually that ball has to pop up, right? And when it does, it comes up with even more force than if we had just allowed it to float on the surface, right? Allowing emotions is kind of like, or sorry, resisting an emotion is kind of like that. It's like we're trying to hold it at bay, and we can only do that for so long before it comes out, and often we act in ways that we don't like yelling, right? When we allow an emotion, it moves through us and it's uncomfortable, but that discomfort, if we're truly processing it, only lasts for about 90 seconds. And that is how we prevent some unnecessary suffering. Emotional pain, like I said earlier, is a part of life, but suffering is optional. We can limit the suffering we experience by allowing and processing emotions as they come. Okay, so that's the second key. Regulate your nervous system and fully allow and process your emotions. Now, the third key is learning how to rewire your brain. So once we build awareness and learn to regulate and process emotions, this is where the fun part begins. This is where we get to practice new thoughts, new responses, and create habits that actually stick. Now, over time, calm can become your default instead of yelling. Now, everything, like I said, starts at the thought level. The average person has over 60,000 thoughts a day, and most of those thoughts are unconscious. That's why noticing your thoughts in step one is so important. To behave differently, to feel differently, and to get different results, we must start by thinking differently. Most of us probably try to do the opposite, right? We want to make changes in our lives. We try to address the behavior. But it's so hard to do that way because we're addressing the result almost, right? We have to start at the cause of the problem. Start with our thoughts. Our thoughts create our emotions drive our actions, and our actions are what are going to produce the results in our lives. Now, notice that I said practice new thoughts. Now, just like learning an instrument or a sport or algebra or teaching itself, right? Changing your brain or learning a new skill requires practice, time, and some persistence. It's not an overnight fix. But here's the good news. As you apply these skills, you'll quickly reduce stress and overwhelm and begin stopping that unwanted yelling response. Many teachers notice a difference within just a couple of days or weeks. Now, coming full circle where we started, okay? We started with self-compassion. Remember that beating yourself up only makes change harder. Sometimes it makes it impossible. So be kind to yourself and be patient with yourself. This is a process. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither are new neural pathways, okay? Now, these skills that I'm talking about are the same skills that I teach my one-on-one coaching clients. And I want to share the story of one teacher. Let's call her Erin. It's not her real name, but we'll call her Erin to protect her privacy. And any stories that I may share in this are pseudonyms, different names to protect their privacy. So, Erin, she has been a classroom teacher for a long time. She started even before I did, and she teaches high school English. The last several years, especially since COVID, have been really challenging for her. Her students seem really apathetic. This is something I'm hearing from a lot of teachers. The apathy of the students is really challenging. And while the students are apathetic, the parents are really engaged, like really highly involved, and they often come to Erin and are criticizing her for her students' results. Now, Erin came to me and was feeling sorry, I'm struggling to talk. Disrespected, exhausted, and frustrated. And she was tired of yelling at her students. She was tired of feeling like her efforts were wasted. And as a result, that what she was doing wasn't worth much. So as we worked through this framework together, the one that I've shared with you today, Erin began to understand that what was happening in her brain. Uh, she was understand what was going on and how to process her emotions. She learned how to calm her activated nervous system, and she learned to identify some of those most painful thoughts, like feeling worthless, and recognize her brain's thought errors. Over time, she realized that her worth wasn't tied to her students' behavior or the parents' reactions. She learned that her happiness didn't have to hinge on what did or didn't happen in the classroom that day. Once she embraced her intrinsic value and processed that negativity weighing her down, her brain could function at a much higher capacity. She moved from yelling as a default to staying calm and regulated. She could show up in her classroom with resilience, clarity, and effectiveness. In her most recent session just a couple weeks ago, she said, I can't believe that I lasted over 20 years in this field without these tools. I want to go back and give Past Me a giant hug and tell her she's doing a great job and that there is a better way to be a teacher. And that's exactly what want to offer you, a better way to be a teacher. So one of the skills I taught Erin and that I'll now teach you is what to do when you feel that urge to yell. It's really simple, but it's highly effective if you do it correctly. The first step is just to notice. We're going to notice the urge. We're going to recognize that your body is heading into fight or flight mode and that the urge to yell is rising. Okay, it's kind of there, kind of lingering, kind of like the urge to eat a cookie when you said you were done, right? Okay, we got to notice that urge, that desire to yell. We're going to bring that urge into our consciousness and acknowledge it. It helps if you even articulate it fully in your mind. Like, I am feeling the urge to yell. Bring it into our consciousness, into our awareness. Like I said, most of our thoughts are unconscious. So bringing it into our awareness is the first step. The second step is just to pause. We don't have to act on the urge immediately, right? Most of us are used to that. In this fast-paced world, we're usually, feel an urge. And we'll go at like we grab our phones, we eat the cookie or whatever it is, right? But we don't have to act on the urge immediately. Give yourself just a moment. Create just a tiny bit of breathing room for yourself in that moment. And lastly, after we pause, we're going to observe. Now, we're going to observe without judgment. We're going to notice how that urge shows up in your body, okay? We're not going to be thinking thoughts. We're going to drop into our body and notice what it feels like when we want to yell, when we have this urge. For me, it's a lot of tightness in my jaw, okay? I'm a jaw clencher. I often feel pressure in my chest. My face starts to get flushed. I sometimes feel a lot of tension in my shoulders. Okay, so you're going to notice the physiological changes that are happening in your body when you have this urge to yell. And we're going to sit with that for just a few moments. Okay, now think of an urge kind of like a wave crashing on the beach. It's going to feel really intense for a few moments and then it's going to subside. Okay, so as you are noticing that urge, just focus on slow, steady breathing and let that feeling move through you instead of resisting it or reacting to it and yelling. Now, each time you do this, each time you allow the urge and don't act on it, the urge will start to lose its power over time. Okay. Even when you're tired or you're stressed or dysregulated, if you practice the skill of allowing the urge and feeling it, you'll be able to withstand it with greater ease. Okay. What we're doing is we are creating a new neural pathway in your brain. Okay. We're teaching our brain that even though we feel this urge to yell, we don't have to act on it. Okay. So the goal really is to feel that urge as often as possible, right? And if you're like me in a classroom, you're probably going to feel the urge a lot, right? And that's awesome. That's great practice because the more and more you do this, the easier it will become. Okay. Now it's not resisting it, right? We're going to allow that urge to crash over us and then move on. Okay. It's allowing the feeling and letting it move through your body. Now, this is a really simple tool, but one that is really helpful when you learn to do this with consistently. Okay. I want to give you, so that's the first tool I want to offer you. The second tool I want to offer you is the instant calm formula. Okay. Now, these two tools alone actually won't rewire your brain completely. Okay. That process does take more time, but this can help you get access to calm in the moment, even during a stressful, chaotic classroom situation. Okay. I sometimes call this the hand and heart tool. Here's how it works. You're going to place your hand over your heart, right in the center of your sternum, and apply some gentle, supportive pressure. Okay. Nothing intense, just some deep or just a light pressure on your chest. And then we're going to breathe deeply. Then we're going to inhale and exhale, and we're going to make the exhale longer than the inhale. Okay. Now, the simple action calms your nervous system in a couple of ways. That's what we're doing here is calming the nervous system. First, by placing your hand on your heart. This is a kind of, sometimes they call this a supportive touch, kind of like a hug from someone you trust or holding a baby. It signals safety to your brain, okay? And then it will release oxytocin, which counteracts the stress hormones like cortisol, okay? That's what happens when you do that. Maybe you can try it right now and feel it, okay? Then we're going to breathe, right? Deep breathing stimulates the vagus nerve. You don't have to remember that, but what it does is activate that parasympathetic nervous system that helps your body return to calm after a fight or flight. Okay. Doing so also grounds you in the present moment as you start focusing on your senses. Okay. So if we're going to do this, you just get comfortable. You place your hand over your heart. You can close your eyes if you want, or soften your gaze, kind of relax your facial muscles. I always have to think about relaxing my jaw. I hold a lot of tension in my jaw. So you're going to inhale slowly for four counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then exhale for 7 counts. I usually do 4 and 7. So exhale nice and slow. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and then you repeat as long as needed to feel the calming effect. I kind of rushed that. Sorry about that. But the best part about this, why I like this tool so much, is that you can do this in class in the middle of a hectic day, right? And your students probably won't even notice that you're doing anything. I use it all the time. I use it before I do big presentations or workshops or just to reset during a busy day when I'm feeling it, okay? So those are my two tools that I want to offer you today. And I would love for you to try them out and let me know how they go, okay? Now, How are you guys feeling? A little quick check-in right now. Go ahead and drop it in the Q&A if you would like. Um, Let me just check it real quick. How many of you are excited to learn how to change your brain? And how many of you are maybe feeling a little overwhelmed because we've covered so much in a short amount of time? It's okay if you're feeling a little bit like this guy right now. The truth is, I can't teach you everything in this short presentation, but I've tried to cover as much as possible in our limited time, and give you as much value and tools as I can, quickly. But I want you to think for just a moment. Um, what if this could work for you? If you learned those three essential skills I shared, maybe spending just 5 or 10 minutes a day learning to understand your brain, learning how to fully process those difficult emotions, regulating your nervous system, and rewiring your brain to work with you and for you instead of against you, as it's kind of default set to do. Do you think you could create a better teaching experience, a better life for yourself? Before I learned these tools, I really struggled in just about every area of my life. My brain was stuck in a loop of negative thoughts. If you asked me about my day, I would focus on that 1% that went wrong, even if 99% of my day was positive. I was constantly anxious about what other people thought of me. If I made a mistake, I'd replay it in my head for days or weeks, just constantly ruminating and imagining the worst possible scenario. Most of the time, people who maybe I made a mistake in front of, they weren't even thinking twice about it or about whatever it was. Even on the weekends, I couldn't fully enjoy my time off because I was dreading Monday. Have you guys ever felt that way? I felt out of control of my life and was effectively missing out on my own life experience. This inability to manage my mind and emotions was so draining for me. I wasted hours and I had strained relationships, especially in the classroom, where I resorted to yelling more than I cared to admit. Now, when I joined a life coaching program, everything changed for me. Becoming a life coach and sharing these tools with other teachers has been one of the greatest privileges of my life. But I did run into a roadblock. Okay. Now, during the certification process, I was in there with a lot of other people, from just about every other profession, and I learned that nearly every other profession has life coaches. You name a profession, right? Doctors, lawyers, nurses, business executives, entrepreneurs, and so on. But many of those professions, you guys know this, right? They earn a little bit more than teachers do, right? And part of my training included business coaching. And several of my business mentors told me not to focus on teachers. They said teachers can't afford it, and I should change my niche immediately. And they had a point because life coaching isn't exactly cheap. Even entry level coaches, if for one-on-one coaching, sometimes charge $100 an hour. And high-end coaches charge 10 to 20 times that. And honestly, for the people that are paying that prices, it's worth it because the tools are so life-changing. But I get it. Finances can be tight a lot of the times, right? Especially right now. There's a lot of crazy going on. And I've taught in states with some of the lowest teacher salaries in the country at the time. The two of the states that I taught in were bottom five, um, in as far as the states go for salaries. But I also know that teachers need these tools, and I also know that and I needed to figure out a way to get them to it. To teachers. I also know that teachers' time is limited, right? You have lives outside of school, and evening and weekend coaching appointments aren't always feasible for teachers. So I decided to come up with a solution. I took all the tools, all the strategies, and the processes that I was using with my one-on-one clients, and I turned them into a self-guided, self-paced course. Now, this course teaches you how to change your brain to break that yelling cycle and transform your life as a teacher on your own time and without the high cost of private coaching. Now, I spent almost 2 years creating this course and this package for teachers who are ready to move from the stress and overwhelm to calm, empowerment, and thriving and a thriving life. I've even thrown in some special bonuses for you, as a thank you for showing up today. So if you're ready, I would love to spend the next couple of minutes sharing this special offer with you and showing you how it can help implement these tools to change your brain and change your life. Is that okay with you guys? We down for a few minutes? Okay, so I first asked myself, how can I help teachers create a better classroom experience? What do teachers need to know? Um, the first thing that I said is that teachers need to understand the problem that their brain creates on default. Teachers also need to know how to allow and fully process emotions. Teachers also need to know how to regulate a hyperactivated nervous system. Teachers also need to know how to increase awareness of the brain and their thoughts. And teachers need to know how to change their default brain responses by building those new neural pathways, okay? How to change their brain. Um, so my new course, it's created just for educators, teaches you exactly how to do that. Process emotions, nervous system care, increase awareness, and how to use the power of your brain to intentionally think, feel, and act in ways that that create a teaching life you truly love. Now, this isn't a quick fix program, okay? It's not going to give you a short burst of dopamine and leave you feeling the same or even worse than before. But if you really want lasting results, if you want to feel better professionally and personally, I promise this is the way, okay? Changing your brain, it does require some effort and some time. I like to compare it to physical therapy, right? After an injury, you and you're recovering, you need consistent, intentional work to realign your muscles and to get your body functioning as it should. Now, our brain works much the same way. With a little daily practice, you can align your thoughts and your emotions and your actions to produce the results you most want in your life. Now, it doesn't take hours a day, just a few minutes a day is enough to start making a difference. Now, in this course, what I'll do is guide you step by step through these processes so you can change your brain and create a teacher life that you love. Now, if you've made it this far with me, you might be thinking, all right, Brenna, this sounds a little woo-woo, right? Feeling your feelings, changing your brain, really? And you know what? You're right. It does sound a little strange at first, I admit. 10 years ago, I would have thought the same thing. I even scoffed, like I told you, when a friend suggested I listen to a life coach's podcast. But looking back, I can see now how completely wrong that line of thinking was for me. Now, this framework, these keys to changing your brain can truly transform your life. I saw something recently on social media that made me smile. Do you guys know Hoda Kotb? She was the co-host of the Today Show. And she was talking about how she's quitting her dream job, this hosting this daytime show, to start a wellness company. And she admitted that she used to think that this wellness stuff was a little woo-woo too, until she actually tried it and realized its transformative power. I thought it was cute. But and here's the thing: like we aren't taught how to do this stuff. We are not taught how to feel, how to regulate, or how to work with our brains. So at first, it does feel a little foreign. But what if this foreign concept is exactly what you need to improve your life and your career? Okay, maybe you're thinking, isn't changing our thoughts to something more positive just another form of toxic positivity? And I get it, but that's not what we're doing. In my programs, I teach clients how to fully manage the negative emotion that inevitably comes our way. Sometimes it's appropriate or unavoidable to feel negative emotion, like I mentioned this earlier, when tragedy strikes, when our students misbehave, when our teacher bestie switches schools, or when changes happen that we don't agree with, right? We're not ignoring reality or sugarcoating teaching to make it seem more palatable. That's not what we're doing. What I do is teach you how to process those emotions, how to move through them instead of resisting or pushing them down, which only intensifies them and creates suffering. Once you can do this, you will discover that you can handle anything. You'll build resilience, you'll build strength, and the confidence to face whatever your classroom or whatever life throws at you. Okay. Maybe you're thinking, okay, I get it, but Brenna, you don't know my circumstances. My school, my class, my students, my situation is different. Changing my brain is not going to work for me. And you know what? You would be partially right. I don't know I don't know you personally or the specifics of your situation. But I do know how the human brain works. And I know the common pitfalls it tends to fall into. And even better, I can teach you how to not just avoid those pitfalls, but how to leverage the power of your brain to create a life that feels truly meaningful to you. Now, these tools aren't limited to anyone's circumstances. They can work for anyone's circumstance. They can work for anyone. Your brain is the most powerful tool that you have at your disposal. And I can show you how to use it so that no matter what your unique challenge is, you are equipped to handle them with confidence and clarity. And lastly, you might be asking if teachers everywhere are struggling. We talked about that at the beginning. If this is a systemic problem, shouldn't we be working to change the system? And yes, I would agree that we should work on improving the schools and the educational system as a whole, now more than ever, actually. So let's work to improve teaching conditions and increase salaries and provide better service to our students. Yes, to all of it. I don't know anyone who thinks that our educational system is perfect. But in order to do that, we need to change our inner world before we are properly equipped to change our outer world. Okay, it starts with us. We change ourselves first. We learn how to get stronger first, and then we can go and make necessary improvements or alterations to our circumstances. And I say this for many reasons, but here are just a few. First, if we only change our circumstances and don't address our brain will continue to find problems and negativity even in our new circumstances. Wherever we go or whatever outside circumstance we change, our brain comes with us. Now, the novelty of a new school or a new administrator or even a totally different job may help temporarily. But eventually, our brain will catch up to us if we don't do the inner work to change those really strong negative neural pathways that many of us have. Now, even if we could, let's just play for a minute and say that even if we could make everything perfect, uh, it's not really feasible or realistic, but if we could, our brain would still find things to complain about. When we remove major obstacles in our lives, we don't suddenly feel problem free. Instead, the threshold for what we consider to be a problem is simply lowered. Okay. Think rich people's problems, right? Our brains are designed to look for and find the negative. It's a protective mechanism. Our brains think that they are keeping us safe by pointing out all the things that are going wrong in the world and with ourselves. And that's why they do that. So instead of ignoring ourselves and focusing only on changing our outside environment, we need to work from the inside out to equip ourselves to handle the problems that our brain will inevitably find and the obstacles we will inevitably face as we strive to make positive change in the world. Okay, that's the first reason. The second reason is that even if that weren't true, okay, even if that weren't true, it usually doesn't serve us to sit back and wait for other people or like our students or their parents or the system around us to change before we can feel better. That puts us in the position of the victim, the powerless victim in our own lives. And in that place, we cannot feel better until our students decide to change or until the schools are fixed. And that may never happen, okay? And if it does, it will likely be a very slow and arduous process because that's the way our government works sometimes. And and even the well-intentioned changes that others might make might be the exact opposite of what you think need to happen, right? So the most empowering approach is to take care of your brain first, then you go and make the changes in your school, your district, your community, or in the world. When you are empowered, you can be a catalyst for important changes to the system. So don't underestimate your own power and your own influence in the world, but changing that outer world starts with changing your own brain, okay? And you don't have to wait for your students or their parents or your administrator or the system to change before you can feel better. You can start to feel better right now. My client Paige learned this, okay? Paige. She realized that her brain wasn't broken. It was just being protective, okay? At that moment when she felt herself ready to snap, her amygdala, that survival brain, was firing a false alarm, trying to keep her safe, even if that threat was just that seventh grader tapping the pencil, right? Once she understood that, she could notice it in real time. And she said, "Oh, my brain thinks I'm in danger. I'm not. I'm just overwhelmed," right? That small little touch of awareness gave her a pause button she'd never had before. And that allowed her to stop shouting automatically. Now, Paige began using those quick regulation tools, and between classes, she'd breathe intentionally, she'd roll her shoulders. Sometimes she would step into the hallway to reset. And then, when the tension rose, she could place her hand on her heart and suddenly said, "I'm safe. I've got this. I can handle this." And her students barely noticed that she was doing anything but her nervous system started to notice the difference. And instead of spiraling constantly, her body started to calm before things started to escalate. Now, over time, she was able to do this rewiring that we're talking about, okay? Moments that used to trigger fight or flight didn't hit the same way. Her new pattern became pause, breathe, and respond with intention. And over time, her students did notice too. The classroom felt steadier, safer, and kinder. She was telling me about one of her students who used to be one of her biggest trigger, right? Um, tell me in the comment if you, in the Q&A, if you have a student that this reminds you of. But she had a student who was one of her biggest triggers, who said to her one day, "You don't yell anymore, Mrs. Thompson. You just talk." And Paige realized that it wasn't about being a perfect teacher, right? It was about understanding her brain, calming her body, and training herself to respond a little bit differently. She said in our last session, I didn't have to live at the mercy of my students' behavior. Their mood did not have to determine my mood. Now, that is the power of this work. Calm becomes a skill that can be learned, not just this distant hope or dream. Okay, you don't have to white knuckle your way through another another stressful day. Okay, let's talk about what you'll get when you sign up for the Calm in the Classroom course. First, you'll get practical tools to stay calm in the moment and redirect students without raising your voice. You will learn step-by-step strategies to process emotions before they turn into frustration or yelling. I will teach you simple nervous system regulation techniques to lower stress quickly, even on your toughest teaching days. You'll also discover easy mindset shifts that increase awareness of the thoughts that are driving those default reactions. You'll also get tools to retrain your brain so that calm becomes your new normal. You'll gain confidence and connection in your classroom, leading with authority without raising your voice. You'll build trust in yourself, knowing that you can handle any situation that comes your way. And best of all, you'll uncover a calmer, happier version of yourself inside and outside the classroom. Basically, you'll get everything you need to build the resilience and capacity to create the life you love. So let's talk a few logistics. I'm going to take a sip here. Um, when you enroll in the Calm in the Classroom course, you'll get instant lifetime access to all the content. Through a series of lesson videos, I'll teach you the tools, the skills, and the concepts behind each module. There are 5 modules in this course, the same 5 things that I shared a few minutes ago that teachers need to know in order to change their brain. Here's a quick breakdown of what the course looks like. Module 1 is understanding the brain. We expand on what we've started to talk about today. We dive into how our brains, though well-intentioned, often backfire and create emotional distress. By understanding the problem at its source, we can stop treating the symptoms and start changing the brain itself. In Module 2, we talk about emotions. We learn how to process those difficult emotions instead of resisting them. We will also cover common instinctual reactions that actually make things worse for us. And we'll give you the tools to harness your brain's full potential. Now, Module 3, we're going to work all on our nervous system. Okay, it's all about the skill of nervous system regulation. This is where we learn how to recognize our dysregulation and practical ways to restore calm. Now, this module for me was a game changer, and I cannot wait to share it with you. This is the one that really changed everything for me. I understood the rest of it, but this was the missing piece for me. So I'm really excited about Module 3, and I love the nervous system. I love the brain science. I'm kind of become a nerd. Module 4, this is where we are going to focus on our current thinking, where you'll discover how to notice the unconscious thoughts that are driving your emotions and your behaviors, okay? You'll learn to identify thought patterns that are causing you pain so that you can interrupt them before they take over. And Module 5 is all about changing your brain. This is where once we have awareness and regulation skills in place, you'll learn step by step how to change those neural pathways. Like I said, it's not just willpower. It's not just a quick fix. There's a process that we must go through. But this is where you create the calm, confident, and empowered teacher life that you want to have. Okay, also included in the course is the course workbook. Okay, this is a 100-page, over 100 pages workbook filled with exercises. See if I can show you, filled with exercises to help you apply the tools and the skills that you're learning to your unique classroom and your unique situation. Okay, the lesson content is powerful, the videos alone are great, but the real transformation happens when you put the principles that you'll learn into practice. Now, these exercises are designed to be a catalyst for lasting change and create the results that you want. I want to tell you about my friend Katie. Now, Katie is a phenomenal music teacher. She's brilliant, she's fun, she's funny, she's inspirational. She's one of the best I've ever known. But Katie, again, this is Katie, she had been through several difficult personal experiences in her life that left her nervous system chronically dysregulated. She was stuck in that high alert mode almost all the time. And one day we were sitting at lunch and she just broke down in tears and she opened up to me about her struggles. Now, normally, as life coaches, we don't like to offer unsolicited advice to our friends. That's a really quick way to annoy everyone. But I could see that she was really struggling. So I asked her if she'd ever heard of how to regulate a misfiring nervous system. She said she hadn't. So I offered to show her briefly. She agreed. So I kind of gave her the basics and guided her. And over time, we continued to meet and I coached her and guided her through the same process that I teach in my course. It's been about a year since that first lunch we had, and she's not even the same person. Now, she's still brilliant, fun, funny, and inspirational, still super awesome. But her inner world has completely shifted. Her nervous system is calmer, her sense of peace has grown, and while her circumstances really haven't changed, her experience of them has dramatically improved, and she's doing so much better. Then there's my client, Chris. Now, Chris, he came into teaching as a second career. After years of working in manufacturing management, he decided around the age of 45 to go become a middle school science teacher. But like many of us, he wasn't prepared for the emotional toll of teaching. He discovered that managing students proved far more challenging than managing adults in a factory, and he found himself yelling a lot to try to maintain that control. Now, Chris and I worked together through this Calm in the Classroom framework, and he told me recently, before this course, I never knew what to do with my emotions. And I just reacted and responded and would yell to them. He said, now I can see that that has held me back my entire life. Now, it's been really fun to watch Chris as he's learned how to process his emotions and harness that power of his brain and step fully into his skills and his talents and is an amazing science teacher for his lucky students. And then a while back, I worked with a teacher named Sarah. Now, she came to me into a coaching session in tears one afternoon, and she said, Brenna, I love my students, but I can't stop yelling. She said, I hate how it feels. And every day I promise I'll do better, but it just keeps happening. She wasn't a bad teacher. She was just spent, right? We can all probably relate to that. And one morning, right before winter break, her class was feeling restless. They were excited about the holidays, probably. She had tried all the strategies, right? Countdowns, redirection, reminders, and nothing was working. And a student muttered something inappropriate under his breath. And before she knew it, she was yelling. She was yelling loudly. And the whole room went silent, and she felt like it was just the worst moment of her career. That's the point when she joined Calm in the Classroom. Now, first, she thought she needed better classroom management strategies. But what she really needed was to understand her own brain and body. And once she learned that her brain perceives that chaos as danger, something clicked. And she started to notice her stress signals, which for her were tight shoulders, racing heart, shallow breath. And that notice, that pause, gave her a tiny window to do something different. Next, she practiced regulating her nervous system in the moment, breathing, softening her jaw, planting her feet, and using those micro pause moments to reset. Slowly over time, her brain started to rewire. One day, a student blurted out during her lesson something that definitely would have triggered her before, but this time she noticed it, breathed, smiled, and calmly said, Hey, let's try that again. Now she says her classroom feels a lot calmer. She's calmer. And instead of ending her days in guilt and frustration, she ends them proud of the teacher that she has become. Now, she's not perfect. None of us are, right? It's a work in progress where I still mess up. She probably does too. But that's the power of this work, right? Creating one calm moment at a time, making little bits of progress, becoming who we want to be. So maybe you're wondering, who is this course really for? Uh, it's for anyone, really, any teacher who's ever gone home thinking, "Ah, I can't believe I yelled again," or that's not who I want to be in this classroom. This course is for teachers who care deeply about their students, but find themselves reacting out of stress instead of responding from calm. It's for teachers who want to stop feeling guilty, who want to stop walking on eggshells with their emotions and start feeling grounded, even when the class is loud and the to-do list is long and your patience is wearing thin, right? You also don't have to be a yeller for this course to change your life. You just need to want more peace, more presence, and more control over how you show up every day. Now, calm in the classroom really is for any teacher who wants to feel calm on the inside so that they can teach, connect, and lead from a place they're proud of on the outside, okay? Often the number one thing that I hear that prevents teachers from taking the plunge and learning how to change their brain is that they believe they can't make a difference, right? Teaching can be exhausting, and sometimes it leaves us feeling really jaded and burned out. And you might be thinking, like, why even bother, right? Teaching is hard. What I do probably doesn't even matter. And I'm here to tell you that that is total and complete baloney, okay? Now, I do want to be completely honest with you. This course won't make all your problems go away, right? Teaching will always have its challenges, but what it will do is change you. You will be empowered to handle difficulties in incredible ways. You'll know what to do with those emotions, how to regulate your nervous system, and how to leverage the power of your brain to help yourself, your students, and your school. When you change, your environment has to respond. Think of it like you're all doing a dance, right? Maybe you've been tangoing with your circumstances, and now you decide, hey, I'm going to start doing the waltz. I don't want to tango anymore. I'm going to do the waltz. Now, the people around you who are still tangoing, they're going to have to adjust, right? When you shift, everything else has to respond to you and your new patterns. You get to be the change. Just one empowered teacher can create more peace and joy in their classroom. And that ripple effect can transform the entire environment. That's how you start to change the world. Really, you start with what you can control. So don't listen to that nagging voice in your head telling you that you're not enough, that you're not smart enough, or that you don't have the right personality, right? Those are all lies that your survival brain is telling you because it thinks that by playing small, you will stay safe. Your survival brain really likes what's familiar, which means that it would rather keep you in familiar emotional pain than endure the temporary discomfort of learning something new, a new way of thinking and responding. Okay, but I promise you were not meant to play small. You have important work to do in this world, so don't let your brain's thought errors stop you from making a difference. Okay. Okay, so I already told you get the Calm in the Classroom course, you get the videos, you get the workbook. You'll also get direct email access to me and my team if you have questions about the course content, what you're learning, and how to apply specific concepts and so on. And you will also have access to free technical support should you ever run into any problems with the course interface. However, the course design is really simple and easy to navigate, so I don't anticipate you having much difficulty. Nevertheless, I want to make sure it was a smooth process for you, okay? Now, when I was putting all of this together, I had two choices. I could price it as cheaply as possible and aim for really high enrollment. But the problem with that is that it would limit the support and value that I could provide for my students and my clients. So instead, I chose the second option, which is a slightly higher investment that allows me and my team to fully support you and ensure your success. My goal is for you to see a real return on your investment by helping you create lasting change and in your teaching and your life, okay? So with the course content, the workbook, the Q&A access, and tech support, the value of the entire course is $299. Okay, but because you're here on this webinar, you've already shown that you're committed to learning how to change your brain, and I want to reward that. So I'm offering you a special discount, knocking more than 25% off the regular price, bringing your total investment in Calm in the Classroom down to $219. Okay, considering everything you get in this course, the full 5 module program, the 100 plus page workbook, the access to me and my team and tech support, that's a great value, I'll be honest. But I didn't want to stop there. Okay. It's really important to me that if you do choose to invest in yourself through this course, you see real results. I want to make sure you have all the tools, all the guidance, and all the support you need to really 10x your progress and get the outcomes that you're hoping for. Okay. I want faster and more effectively. Okay. So at the risk of sounding like an infomercial guy, I want to tell you that wait, there's more, okay? Remember at the beginning, I promised some special bonuses for those of you who showed up today. Well, here they are. I'm really excited about these bonus offers. They aren't just random extras. Each one was chosen carefully to help you succeed as you work through this course and start creating lasting change in your classroom and your life, okay? Now, I'll run through these quickly and then we'll do our drawing to see who the lucky winner of our prizes are, okay? So if you hadn't have had a chance yet, go ahead and drop a comment or two in the Q&A, letting me know what you think about this framework for how to change your brain. Okay, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Each comment is an entry. Okay, so go ahead and pop in there while I go and run through these bonuses. Okay. The first bonus is free access to monthly group coaching sessions. Okay, this is something I've never included with this course before. Normally, these small group coaching sessions are a separate investment, usually about $59 per month. But for everyone who enrolls in Calm in the Classroom, you'll get 12 months of monthly live Q&A sessions at no additional cost, okay? In these sessions, I'll answer your questions, I'll coach you through challenges, and help you apply the course concepts if you're feeling stuck. It's a great way to get extra support, to stay accountable, and connect with a community of teachers working on the same skills. So at $59 per session for 12 months, that's a $708 value, totally free, bringing your total course value up to $1,007. I'm not a math teacher. Hopefully my math is right here. But I didn't want to stop there even, okay? I am a huge believer in the power of coaching. So I'm also including a free one-on-one session with me. You can bring any challenge or situation you're facing and we'll work through it together, whether it's applying a tool from the course or practicing a skill or you have a situation that you can't work through on your own. I will meet with you one on one and work through it together, okay? We'll do this via Zoom, and you can schedule it at a time that it's convenient for you using an easy online scheduler. Now, the value of a one-time individual coaching session is $89, but for this first session, you won't pay a dime. That brings the total value of your Calm in the Classroom package up to $1,096. I don't know why I can't say that. Someone send me back to first grade. Okay, one of the best parts of taking a course like this is connecting with other educators that are on the same journey. So that's why I'm inviting you, if you join through this after this webinar, to join our private Facebook group, the Calm Classroom Collective. This is a positive, solutions-focused space where you can connect with fellow teachers, discuss real classroom situations, share support and encouragement. You can learn from others' experiences. This is not a gripe space, okay? It's about forward thinking and problem solving. Now, I have my team moderate this group so it stays productive. So there is a little bit of a cost to me to pay for that moderation, but I'm including access for free as part of your course package, okay? So with the course, the monthly sessions, the free coaching session, and the private Facebook group, the total value is up to $1,155. Bonus number 4 is one of my favorites. Now, over the years, as I've been coaching teachers one-on-one, I noticed a few common pitfalls that many educators fall into. Thought patterns that get their brains kind of stuck and make teaching harder than it needs to be. To help you avoid those traps, I created a mini course. It's called the 7 Mindset Mishaps. Keeping teachers stuck, okay? It takes common thought errors like all or nothing thinking, perfectionism, people pleasing, the shame blame cycle, and more, and helps you tackle those problems. You'll get 7 lesson videos and exercises that are designed to help you break free from those patterns and stay on track. So you can even more so maintain your calm even on the toughest teaching days. The bonus is packed with practical strategies that will really accelerate your progress in the Calm in the Classroom course. Now, when purchased as a standalone product on my website, the mini course usually costs $47, but because you're on this webinar, I'm going to include it for free with your enrollment in the Calm in the Classroom. Now, when you add together the course, the monthly live group sessions, your one-on-one coaching session, the private Facebook group, and the mini course, the total value of this offer is now $1,202, all for your special webinar price of $219, okay? Now, the next one addresses one of the toughest parts of teaching. It's one of the best and toughest parts of teaching, actually, is we get to work with a large variety of people, right? Students, parents, administrators, coworkers, and some of those people can be challenging, right? And it can be difficult to navigate those interactions. And it's really skill that we as teachers need, right? We all probably can think of someone that we work with that is difficult, right? So to help, I'm including a recorded masterclass that I taught on this exact topic, how to deal with difficult people, okay? You'll get the video, you'll get these exercises and conversation templates to guide you through these tough interactions. This bonus will help you approach difficult people from a positive and productive and authentic place so that you can bring your best self to every situation. Um, Okay, so normally we charge $39 to get a copy of that masterclass, which includes the video, exercises, and conversation templates. But for you webinar attendees, I'm going to include it for free, okay? So with the course, the group sessions, the private session, the Calm Classroom Collective Facebook group, the 7 Mindset Mishaps mini course, and this masterclass, the total value of this package comes to $1,241. Often, the hardest part of making meaningful changes is just getting started, right? It's just getting the momentum going. So sometimes teachers invest in a course and then life happens, right? They don't get started, or sometimes they even forget they bought it. So to prevent that, my team and I created a 30-day Calm Classroom Kickstart. Now, this is a month-long challenge that you can opt into that is designed to help you dive in and jumpstart your transformation. You'll get weekly videos to keep you inspired and motivated. You'll get daily 2-minute challenges that are really small, simple activities to help you get your brain help your brain starting to form new helpful habits. Okay. Now, this is not meant to be overwhelming. It's not like you're committing to training for a marathon or anything like that. It's just a few simple practices to get the ball rolling. And like I said, build momentum toward a calmer, more empowered teaching experience. Um, that is usually, as when we run challenges like this, they're about $29. Um, but for you guys, I'm just going to throw that in for free. So that brings your total value up to $1,270. Now, the next bonus. Okay, I know, hang with me. There's a few more. Starting something new is easier when you stay organized. That's why my team and I created a course progress journal and self-care planner to help you kind of track your course progress, do your emotion and mindset work to set goals and complete your modules. You'll stay inspired with quotes and monthly, weekly, and daily calendars. And we'll include that digital file for free for all of you that are here on this workshop today. That sells for $27. So with the classroom or the course, the Q&A sessions, the private session, the Facebook group, the mini course, the master class, the 30-day Calm Classroom Kickstart Challenge, and the course progress journal, that total value is now over $1,297. Okay. Now, as I put all together these bonuses, none of them are random, right? Each one is designed to help you overcome the specific obstacles you might face as you work through this course. So even with all the tools, there will still be tough days for teachers, right? A student shouts obscenities at you, a parent threatens your job, or your principal says something insensitive. Okay, they happen to all of us, right? That's why I created the 5-minute teacher reset tool. Um, this is a simple, oh, we got the right paper. This is a simple but powerful exercise that helps you reset after a rough day. Now, this program comes with a quick 5-minute video that walks you through these resetting steps, or you can print off a paper copy as well if you prefer an independent approach. This tool is perfect for those moments when you're feeling stressed, discouraged, or triggered, and helps you get back on track fast. Now, if I sold this tool on its own, I'd charge $19, but I'm including it into this package at no extra cost. So with all of these bonuses so far, the total value is up to $1,316. And I have one more bonus if you'll stay with me. The last one is a digital card deck full of empowering thoughts for teachers. Now, you'll learn in this course that affirmations alone just don't work. Your brain has to actually believe them. right? Or it will reject them. That's why in Module 5, I'm teaching you step by step exactly how to think those new empowering thoughts. Now, these cards give you over 100, but sometimes we need help knowing what to think. What should I think instead? These cards give you over a 100 ready to use thoughts to practice thinking and believing. You can print them, or I put mine on a little ring, a little ring, so I can flip through them and find thoughts that feel positive, that feel empowering to me. Okay, that's what you'll get with those. That's about a $17 value, which brings the total. Let's recap everything really quickly. That brings you get the course, the monthly live group sessions, a private one-on-one session, the Facebook community, the 7 mindset mishaps mini course, the how to work with difficult people masterclass, the 30-day Calm Classroom Kickstart Challenge, the course progress journal, the 5-minute teacher reset, and the empowering card deck. That means brings the total value to $1,333. Okay. Now, let me ask you, what would it be worth to you to walk into your classroom each day calm and in control? To no longer rely on yelling to get your students' attention, to leave school with energy left for your family and your friends instead of carrying all that stress home with you. What would it be worth to finally break the cycle of frustration, to feel confident managing your students without raising your voice, and to actually enjoy teaching again? Okay. Maybe you can see why doctors and lawyers and CEOs and others pay a premium for access to this kind of knowledge and coaching, the very skills and tools that I want to teach you in this course. The good news is that you do not have to go spend thousands of dollars on another degree or endless hours trying to piece this together on your own. With this course, and all these awesome bonuses, you can learn how to stop the behaviors you don't like, and how to start feeling better and teaching better and living better right now without having to blow your budget. Because you showed up today and have already invested your time and attention, I'm offering you the full Calm in the Classroom course, plus the coaching sessions, the mini course, all the bonuses for that same low price I mentioned at the beginning, just $219. Now, this isn't a gimmick or a trick. I truly believe in these tools and I believe in teachers. I think teachers that are empowered with the right skills can change the world. Learning these skills is the long-term solution to your stress, your overwhelm, your anxiety, and the yelling that you want to stop. It is possible to show up as the teacher that you want to be. You just need the right tools, and that's exactly what you will get in this course. Okay, so even with all the bonuses and the discounts, some of you might still feel a little bit of sticker shock, and that's completely normal. That's okay. But remember, outside of this webinar, the course alone is listed for $299 on my website. And that's without any of the extras or any of the bonuses that you're getting here today. But by showing up to this workshop, you've already proven that you're ready. You're ready to learn how to change your brain. You're tired of things the way they are. You're ready to improve your teaching experience. Okay. Now, if you were to hire a coach to teach you all this content and guide you one on one through every skill and every exercise, it could easily cost you $10,000 or more. But because you're learning at your own pace, with all the tools, resources, and support you need to help you succeed, you can get it all today for just $219. Okay, I'm going to drop the link in the chat right now. Let me get that. Uh, Okay, there we go. I'm going to drop this in the chat right now, and you can sign up there. I'll give you a link right to that. Uh, Okay, sorry, we got it. And you'll also get it in your email. You should be getting an email just in a few minutes after we hop off there. I'll send it right over. That will have the link that includes you all these bonuses. Okay. Now, at this point, you have two choices. You can choose to do nothing. You can simply walk away from this workshop and let all the information you've learned over the past hour just kind of fade. And if you do, nothing will likely change. Your career, your classroom, your stress levels, they'll all stay the same. Or you can choose to take a leap of faith. You can try it. You can see if it works for you. You can learn how to calm your nervous system in real time so you don't have to resort to yelling or behaviors that feel out of alignment with who you want to be. You can learn how to create a better experience for yourself and your students using the tools that I will teach you. And I want to make this as easy and as completely risk-free for you as possible. That's why I'm offering a 30-day trial. Okay, watch the course videos, complete the exercises, and apply the tools and strategies to your own situation. And if after 30 days you don't see any improvement, I'll give you your penny back. Okay, I'll give you every penny back. That means there's literally no risk to you, just the opportunity to see real change in your classroom and in your life. So the real question is it worth investing just a few minutes a day to try the Calm in the Classroom course? You can start to see real results in as little as 5 to 10 minutes a day, even if this course only delivers half of what I've promised. The strategies and the knowledge you gain will be worth it within the first couple of weeks. So the real question is, are you ready to stop yelling for good? Okay, just to make sure you see everything you're getting for this one low price, here's one last recap for you. You're going to get the Calm in the Classroom course with all 5 modules, the workbook to apply the lessons to your unique situation, the team and tech support if you have questions, monthly group Q&A sessions, free private coaching, private Facebook community group for support and connection with other teachers, the 7 Mindset Mishaps mini course, the masterclass on working with difficult people, the 30-day Calm Classroom Kickstart Challenge, the 5-minute teacher reset tool for those really tough days, and the Empowering Thoughts for Teachers card deck. Okay, all of this for just $219. Okay, I want to offer you one last bonus, but it's only available if you enroll in the next 30 minutes after this presentation, okay? If you sign up right now, I will give you premium access to the Calm in the Classroom private podcast for free. What this is the audio from all the course videos delivered straight to a private podcast feed that you can add to your favorite podcast app, okay? You can listen and learn while you go for a morning run or commute to school or hang up bulletin boards or student artwork or doing the dishes or cleaning the house or walking the dog. This bonus makes it easier to absorb and apply these skills so you can start rewiring your brain anytime, anywhere. Now, after the 30-minute window, this podcast feed will be available still for $59, but if you enroll now, it's yours completely free. So don't wait. Join me and the Calm Classroom Collective today and start creating a calmer, happier, and more empowered life in your classroom right now. And don't worry, I didn't forget. I put in a slide here because I once did this and forgot to announce the winner. But don't worry. We are going to pull all these comments from the Q&A right now and randomly select one. Okay, we're going to use Google to choose some numbers here and we'll find out the winner. So hang with us for just a second here. Okay, let me write down these numbers. Hang on 1 second. Okay, all right, we have 3 winners. Okay, the number one is the person who will receive the $100 Amazon gift card. That is comment 122. Julie. Congratulations, Julie. Okay, and we also have 2 winners who will receive a $50 discount code that we'll email to you for the Calm in the Classroom course. We've got comment 49, which is Carrie. Let me write that down. Carrie, congratulations. And Mark. Awesome. Congratulations, guys. If you are a winner and you don't receive an email, please reach out to us at the team at brennanelsoncoaching.com. We'll make sure you get your prize or discount code. Okay, everyone, that 30-minute clock is ticking. So go ahead and click on the link in the chat box or check your inbox and sign up to get immediate and lifetime access to the Calm in the Classroom course, plus all your incredible bonus offers. Remember that premium private podcast with all the course audio is only available for the next 30 minutes. It's with that bonus, it's a total value of nearly $1,400, all yours for just $219. So click the link in the chat right now or check your email. You should have a email from me with the link in there as well. So uh, remember, you'll have 30 minutes to get that last bonus. Now, thank you so much for spending your time with me. I love sharing this information with teachers all over the world. Come join us and learn how to change your brain, empower yourself, expand your capacity, and create a life you love. All right, that's all I have for you guys. Have a great night. Thanks for being here. Bye.